So let me ask for remote control. Thank you, Darlene, by the way.
No worries.
So let me introduce myself again. I'm Vincent. Let me start it with a question. How many of you have actually watched the K-drama Startup? If you guys have, in startup, there are three types of role, right? During a hackathon. So there is the hustler, the hipster, and the hacker. The hustler is basically who does the ideation, thinking about the value proposition, the business context of the idea. And then the hipster is the one who design the presentation, makes everything looks beautiful, designed for UI UX. And for the hacker is the one who get their hands dirty and actually implement the whole solution. So I am in the team. I act as the hustler, semi hipster. I share the role with Mas Bima here, and we'll talk to you guys about what we are doing, how we are doing it, and how we actually come up with the idea. And for today's talk, maybe I will add a little bit more of maybe not thought process, but actually the first principle and some of the principle that we use during our ideation, and how we actually manage the team dynamics so we can finally achieve this far. We were actually going to introduce about the whole challenge, but it was already been explained by Darlene. So let's just skip the initial part. There's the judges, and also there's the judging criteria. And here's our team name. We call our team BBLV, basically the abbreviation for all of us. And this is basically how we introduce ourselves. And this is just a copy paste from our deck that we used to submit before. Basically, a brief overview of our past experience, our honors, and digital skill sets and passion. So you can give the judges a brief idea of who your teams are and what are their backgrounds, what are their expertise. And uh, I'm also going uh, to show you guys, talking about ideation, there are actually three things that I want to emphasize here, um, that I think this might give value to you guys. The first one is during the whole process of ideation, um, the first principle is love problem, not idea. I can't emphasize this enough. This is something that maybe all of us have known, but most of us often forget. Uh, think about a moment when maybe you come up with an idea and you think, oh, this is the most amazing idea ever. I could not think of anything better than this. And then you start to confirm, maybe this is because of this, because of that, and you fell in love with the idea. But that's actually a wrong thing, not the best thing to do, because you will spend a lot of time on the wrong idea. But instead, you have to love the problem. You have to dig into the problem, which leads to the second point. How to come up with a good idea is you need to dig into the root cause. I learned this from the past innovation bootcamp that I go through from MIT. I was introduced to the concept of first principle. It's actually how Elon Musk thinks. And the basic idea is basically you have to decompose all the problem into the first principle. It's a physics principle, and start to build your solution from the problem, not from thinking from analogy. Maybe like, oh, this works, X works, maybe Y will works. That's easier thing to do, but maybe not a sustainable one. And the third one is about creating the whole environment of ideation. You need to ideate first and criticize later, because where think of a moment when you are ideating with your friend and your friend criticize your idea, says that, oh, I don't think that it's a good idea. It's the worst idea I have ever heard. But In fact, Airbnb was born out of a bad idea. It was a bad idea before it came it came into $1 billion business. So ideate first, criticize later. The next thing I'm going to say is maybe when you guys are trying to thinking about problem that you want to solve, you guys get maybe confused because they get overwhelmed because there are a lot of problems that you actually can solve, but which actually you want to uh, prioritize. And here's maybe some practical frameworks that you guys can use to decide which idea should you guys probably pursue. There are 6 factors. It is not necessarily you don't necessarily have to fulfill all of this, but the more you got it, the better. And I actually quoted from Y Combinator because I recently listened to Y Combinator podcast a lot, and this is maybe one of the most important takeaway that I took from it. When you think of a problem, it has to be huge, it has to be growing, it has to be urgent, it has to be expensive. It costs the customers a lot of money, and there's a regulatory change or something that made it more mandatory. Maybe like people don't used to think about the pandemics or the disease, the vaccine. Now, what everybody is talking about is when is the vaccine is going out, when is the cure, when is uh, everything is going back to normal, how can we find a new normal. So that is the change that happens that make things mandatory, maybe like working from home, and then you need a working from home solutions to increase your productivity because it's not as seamless as when you are in the office. And that is something that maybe you want to look at for when you try to think of a problem that you want to solve, and the frequency of the problem. For example, when we talk about the food, it is a thrice daily problem. So you need to eat at least two times or 3 times on average. So that is a daily problem. That's the example of daily problem. And then the ideal problem for AI itself, because the themes is all about AI. You want to think of problem that is more repetitive. That is usually more suitable for AI. Have you came across an idea like, oh, I want to build AI to help people with disability because of this, but sometimes it doesn't sound sensible. Why? Because it is actually things that AI, maybe the solution does not require AI, or AI sounds very gimmicky. So in order to tackle that kind of issue, you need to find problems that usually is very incomplex, actually very straightforward and repetitive, but it actually costs a lot of time or costs a lot of money. So that is the best use case where AI fits. Also, when you see a big data, AI is good at finding patterns. Humans are bad. So AI, yes, who's quoting it? Calvin. Yeah, Calvin. It's true. So AI works best when it's complementing human. It's not replacing human. So when people say you're going to replace the whole workforce with AI, it's actually not the best use case of AI, and it works best. And if you guys have read the book 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel, the team at PayPal has actually proven it, that when they use only AI, their performance was not as great as when they combine human approach, hybrid approach, human and machine approach, because it can help human to achieve a lot better productivity. And it's also related to human retention issue. You know, study shows it is science that humans are forgetful. Maybe only a handful of people that forget less. Maybe just a few people that forget less, but most people forget. So AI works best on that use cases. and how to present your problem and solution. For this part, I will just go pretty much straightforward. We'll show you how we actually show it on our deck. So I will show you two most important part of your presentation to build the foundation. One is the problem, and the second one is the solution. When you want to present the problem, ideally, you need to show the persona, who is the customers that you are targeting, what are their pain points, and how do they look like, what age range, maybe what gender, staying in which region, and that's the persona that you want to build. So your audience have a better idea of who are you helping, for whom your solutions is going to be implemented, and the real solution, the real problems. When I am talking about problems, it is real problem, it is root cause, and how to actually dig into the root cause is there is tools called 5 why analysis. You have fishbones, and you have a lot of framework for thinking that can help you to achieve what is actually the root cause for the problem, and you need to solve for the root cause, not the symptoms. And to sum it up, there are 2 points that you need to clearly have on the slides. First, strong problem statement, and the second one is you need to have to show a clear pain points. For example, for our cases, when people tend to go less, when people go less to restaurants lose money, they lose revenue, and we want to help them to create a safer and better environment to dine in. So that's the thing that we are trying to convey in our slide. And the second one is how you present a solution. So this is basically the whole template for all competitions that I did in last year. This is the whole template that you can just reuse. You put your graphics, your logo, and then very important, a very one concise explanation in one sentence what you are going to build that can give your audience a better idea. And people often tell you, right, you need to show, you don't just tell. So you need to insert the mockup, the UI UX, or the wireframe of your prototype or your product that you are going to show to the customers, that will give value to the customers. And that's exactly what we are doing. If you have seen the previous early in the opening of the presentation, there is like the mockup, and we did exactly just like that. We insert it so the judges will have a better idea of what we are building. And things you need to avoid is maybe too much marketing buzzwords, because you need to differentiate between your judges and your customers. Your customers are the one who cares with the problem and want to use your product. Your judge, or maybe your potential investor in the future, are not. So they don't buy in with what you are saying. Maybe you're saying we use AI to democratize education. People don't really understand what you are building, and that also leads to my second point, like multi-interpretable description. I mean, it's so attracting. Yeah, people tend to want to make their things cool, sounds cool. I mean, using AI, using AR, VR, blockchain, and all those stuff makes your product looks cool. But if it doesn't really give a better idea of what you're building to the judges, it's useless. So the best thing is to make it as clear as possible. Like for us, our example is a virtual waiter for restaurants that you can access through QR in a restaurant. So that's just it. And when I told you that, you can have a better, you can imagine, oh, the value that it's going to give is this, and maybe how they are going to implement A or B is that. So that's the thing that maybe I can say today. And next up is maybe Louis turn, and is Louis with us, still with us? I see him going in and out actually.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry guys. Yes.
That's it for me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Cool. So this is our customer journey map. And as you can see, yeah.
Wait. I still have.
Okay. So this is the customer journey. So this is our problem journey map. So our end user, like the first thing they do is enter the restaurant and find a seat. And then they scans the QR code on the table and order. And then our AI assistant serves the customer, takes order, and notifies the merchant. And then after that, the customer places order and waits for their order and chit-chat with the virtual waiter. And the merchant receives order and payment if the customer open pay at cashier. And the journey is finished. So this is basically our customer journey map for our solution. So our solution is the AI assistant that serves the customer, takes order, and notifies the merchant by using the QR code. Next, please.
Okay, so in the front, Vincent and Luis already give you guys a brief idea about what we are building, right? So now it's time how we can make it happen. And in here, we actually built two kind of AI model. So the first one is we are building the natural language model. And then the second one is we are building the customer segmentation model. The idea is we want to help not only the user, but also the shop owner itself, okay? So the natural language model will be used for our personal assistant, and that will be going with the customer, and then customer will be benefit from there. And then the second one, the customer segmentation model, will work for the shop owner, by meaning the shop owner will understand how their customer is, and then they can adjust their marketing, their strategy to get more out of their business. Okay. So in here, I want to show you the first one about the personal waiters technology. So in this picture, actually, we are using some of the Alibaba Cloud technology. Yeah. So the first one is we are using the Pi itself. Okay. So we start from the bottom left. Yeah. You can see Rasa here. Rasa is actually our main framework for the natural language. Luis will be describing more after this. And basically, we are doing the training inside the Pi DSW or data science workshop. Sorry. So yeah, we are doing everything in there, and then we are saving the model, which we put in one of object storage service by Alibaba. So we put the model over there, and then we deploy it again using ECS, which Boy will be described more after this. Okay, and yeah, that model will be used to serve in our apps, yeah, to serve the user, basically to give the user recommendation, have interact with the user like informing orders, invoicing, and etc. And then after that, the serve view will get more data about what customer answer, and then what menu that they order, and then what their preferences. So that's kind of data that we're going to be saving again in the database. I will explain after this. Okay. So yeah, that's basically the main framework for natural language understanding model. Next. Okay, back to Luis.
Okay. Yeah. So we use Rasa as our main machine learning framework. So what is Rasa? Rasa is basically an open source framework to automate text and voice-based AI system. So it leverages machine learning to understand the user's intent and discuss objects. And it also manages how the assistant should respond. The main important thing is it supports multiple integration and channel options, and also multilingual languages. So we can implement our Rasa chatbot into like our favorite messenger like Telegram or WhatsApp and the other. And also it provides a wide range of machine learning models. And as you can see in the left side is the visual of our chatbot prototype. Next, please. And yeah, we train our Rasa chatbot, our personal assistant in PyDSW. So here I will tell you a bit like how to develop an AI assistant using Rasa. So like this is it's just a quick walkthrough, like from the beginning, from the initializing a default project until making a chatbot. So the first thing you do is you should install the Rasa package, and then you just type the Rasa in it, and then enter the desired folder path, and then next the default folder will be initialized, and here is the files within the default project folder. Next. So the first important file is stories.yaml. This file contains the several stories flow we want to build. So before I jump to the detail, let's imagine an example. Let's say we as a user are talking to the bot and ask, "Hey, are you a bot?" Receiving that kind of utterance, the bot will try to classify what is the intent of that utterance. Let's say the bot knows that kind of sentence has intent to challenge the bot by asking whether it is a bot or not. Then the bot should answer that utterance right. Maybe it answer with, "Yes, I am a bot, but no need to worry. You can chat with me as you chat with human." But how can we train our bot so that it knows how to give an appropriate response like that? So here comes the stories, which plays a crucial role. A story consists of story name and steps of the story. In other words, each story contains the information of how the bot should answer after receiving the utterance from our user. Let's take a look at the first example. A story with a title of asking bot. The story contains only 2 steps, bot challenge and utter I am a bot. Actually, this is the format of a story from our previous example. The first step of the story is the bot challenge intent, or sentence like, "Hey, are you a bot?" which is classified as a utterance that has an intent to challenge our bot. And then the next step is utter I am a bot actions, or simply a defined text for replying that kind of utterance. Okay, I think that's for stories.yaml. Next, please. And the next important file is nlu.yaml. So from the previous slide, you already see that there's intent part inside of story. Again, just like the usual machine learning model, our bot also needs the training data to be able to classify the intent from each given utterance. Here, nlu.yaml contains the training data for each of the possible intent class that can be detected by our bot. For example, you can see the first intent here is greet. And there are some examples of utterance that has to be classified as a greet intent, like hey, hello, hi, hello there, good morning, and so on. We can also specify example of entities for the name entity recognition model in this file. Some example of the training data for name entity recognition model is like the word spicy, which should be recognized as the food type name entity. Next, please. The next file is domain.yaml. This file can be said like the master knowledge of our bot. This file contains all of the intents, entities, slots, responses, and actions information of our bot. You should have known what I mean by intent and entity up to now, but there are another new terms here like slots, responses, and actions. Don't be overwhelmed by these new terms. Responses are the predefined text which I mentioned in the beginning. So responses contains predefined text that can be used by the bot to answer users' utterance. For example, a response named user please rephrase, which contains a predefined text. "I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. Can you please rephrase your sentence?" And then the next one is slots. Slots is simply like a variable which contains some information from another source. For example, a slot with the name beverage recommendation is a variable which will store the information of beverage recommendation that is generated from our recommender system module outside of this bot system. And the last one is action. Action is simply the possible action that bot can be done. Here we only apply responses as our actions, but Rasa can incorporate other actions as well, which will be explained in the next slide. Please, next slide again. Okay, so this is the example of other actions that can be done by Rasa. If you want to build a custom function to call an API, or even incorporate the recommender system model, which is written in Python, then you can do that in this actions.py. This Python file can be used pretty much anything you want the bot to do. And make sure if you use custom actions, then you have to list your action names in the domain.yaml along with the other template actions. Next. Yes, this is what I mentioned about. Okay, next. And also the written values of your custom actions can be used in the template response. To do that, you have to fill the variable name in the slot section. So this is the slot in the food recommendation. And it is used at the user show bestseller food. Next. In config.yaml, we can set the pipeline and policies we want to use. So the pipeline covers from the data preparation until model training inference. So this is just the setting, the setup for our model and the pipeline. Next. And policies are used as the decision maker for the assistant to choose what action it will take at each step of the conversation. Next. And if you are using the actions.py, you have to turn on the action endpoint in endpoints.yaml so that you can connect to the action server and your custom actions can be used. Okay. And done. Now you can train your AI assistant and the chatbot will be generated. Yeah, you can test the performance in the naive mode in the command line or using Rasa X, which is a great UI from Rasa. X. Okay, so this is Rasa X. Next, you can see this is how to run the Rasa X command. Then next. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's my part to tell about how we deploy our application. Okay, in this project we use several technologies. You can see here we already mentioned that we use PAI, machine learning platform for AI, and then OSS, object storage service, Elastic Compute Service, relational data service, DataWorks, Max Compute, and etc. Maybe I can't tell it one by one, like a VPC or maybe AIP. Okay, but I think you know that it must be used, yeah. Okay, I copy it from the architecture technologies, and we just need to slice it into two pieces. We can say that the left section is my part, and the right side is Bima's part. And let's focus on the left side. So you can see here on the bottom left side, there is a model which start from model training. The model training will give the model, and the model will be stored on the object storage services. And then next, it will be pulled manually by using OSS util, and we use the model into the application by move it manually. And then when we run the Rasa X program together with the model, it's going to be accessed by user publicly, so that the user can use our feature freely. And here you can see database itself. We use it as authentication, but more than it will be present by Bang Bima, Mr. Bima. Okay, so this is the example of OSS. We have two models that stored on the OSS, and then this these models will be pulled by ECS by using OSS util, and this is our node. We use a simple type, maybe ECS C6X large, because we think that the user is not no need to higher specification, so that just need a simple one. Okay, in this node we install some tools like Docker to make the containerization more simple, and then maybe we can install the Tableau for visualization, and then maybe we can install so many tools inside the ECS. Maybe if we're not bored, we can install RDS on the node, but we use RDS. Sorry, we use MySQL on RDS. We just need connect to with it. Yeah. Okay. The next slide, when we already run the application together with the with the model. Sorry. It will be shown on the our application. You can see here on the tab models, there are two models, and then this model will be used when the state is active. So when here you can see that the state is active on the first row. If we want to change it, just change the state to active for the second row or second model. So after we choose the active one or the active models, we can try to train our bot by do some chats, maybe say hi ho, or maybe say what kind of favorite food here, and then you can try. Okay. Nah, when we need to share our assistant to others guests, maybe to test our bot, we just need to use this feature, and then it can generate the link so that the user can access our bot. And the right side, you can see that it's an illustration for our application, how we interact with the bot, and you can see the feedback from the bot. I think, yeah. Here is reference for you guys who want to learn, or maybe to do some experiment with the Rasa. You can click the link, and yeah, you may be feel fun with this reference. Okay, I think my part is gonna be end here. Will be continued by Bang Bima.
Thank you, Boy. So next, I'm gonna explaining about the customer segmentation model. Okay. So after Boy talk about deployment on ECS, etc., we are now more focused on the big data stack of Alibaba Cloud. Okay. So in here, we're gonna be using, we are using DataWorks with the Max Compute, of course, and also PI itself. And PI itself, we use both between the Pi Studio and PI DSW. And also after that, we export the result into Tableau. So if you see in this picture, in this architecture, we're going to be walk through on the right-hand side. It starts from the data from ServView. It's going to be saved on database. We can use any database, either the RDS, MySQL, or PostgreSQL, whatever you need, or whatever your business use. But we are using this MySQL, Postgre. And then we use DataWorks to orchestrate everything. So DataWorks is going to be the main central of our orchestration. It's going to be we'll be pulling the data from database and then put it in Max Compute, and then from Max Compute we are using Pi Studio to do the machine learning training, to create the customer segmentation model, and then from that model we are make another pipeline to serve those model. Okay, and this model will be pulling back into database. We store the result in database, and we use Tableau. We use Tableau to visualize the result. Well, actually, Alibaba have a data view or to visualize that, but when we are making this, we doesn't have that in Indonesia yet. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Maybe right now they are already available in Indonesia, but yeah, we are using Tableau, which is quite common to many business in Indonesia at the moment. Okay, next please. So now I'm going to be showing you. This is, if you haven't used it yet, this is the view of the DataWorks. So in here, you can see some of the node. We kind of like make pipeline in here, which looks like a box. So if I can explain, the first one is, I make a virtual node to indicate that it's going to be start the node. And then we are using data integration to sync the data from database, from the previous database. And then there's one node after this, which is called create RFM. This is actually just an SQL query, which I put it in a node. So they're going to be do some data manipulation over here. And then those data will be used as our input to PII. So this is going to be PI node. It's called PI node, which actually there's a experiment in Pi Studio. I'm going to show you the Pi Studio after this also. And yep, again, the result from there, we are pulling back and do some another manipulation with SQL query and send it back the result to database again with data integration. Okay, next boy. Yeah, and this is the PI Studio, which basically we are building the model without writing a line of code. We can say like that, because in here it's just really convenient. You just need to drag and drop. In PI Studio, it already have quite a lot of nodes which we can use. Start from data integration, and then for data transformation, for pre-processing like that, and also the modeling and exploration as well. Okay, so if you can see in the right hand side, it's actually the result of our segmentation. The node here is represent a customer, and the color is represent of color group of each customer. Okay, next. And that's our main pipeline for training. Now we built another pipeline in DataWorks for serving the model. Okay, so it's pretty much the same. So but what really changed is actually on the PI node. We now using another pipeline. We use another experiment in Pi to serve the model. But for the rest, we still maintain the same flow, like get the data from database and then doing SQL query, using SQL query to transform the data, and then put it back to Pi, and then back from that we do another manipulation, data integration like that, and we integrate back to database. Next boy. This is the serving flow, serving experiment in Pi Studio. If you can see here, maybe it's too fast on the previously, but in here we don't need to do more, because we already have RFM segment 1, which is actually this is the model. This is the model which stored in the left hand side. Maybe it's too small, but okay. So if you can see that little diamond, that indicate the model. So in here we just need to fit in the new data and then use this cluster pred. Cluster pred is actually a prediction node in Pi Studio, which we need to use that for we need model and also the new data. So that's going to be feeding the data into the model and then resulting in the prediction, which in join 1, I join the result into with the raw data itself and then put the result back, output result. And also on the right hand side, so if we talk about business really want to see the end result, right? They don't need to know about the what behind that, but they need the insight from that data. So we put it in a dashboard, okay? So the shop owner, so the restaurant owner can see how their customer divided into several groups. So in here we prepared 5 groups, start from the loyalists, and then also we have the potential user, and then the churn one, also lost user, and then the potential loss. Yeah, this is just kind of example. But the idea is we are not only we are trying to make this to help the shop owner get better idea on make their strategy better. Okay, yeah, so like that. Okay, so I think that's the the whole pipeline. Yeah, we start from the pipeline for NLU modeling, and then Luis and Boy already explained more about what is Rasa, and then what is and how we deploy the natural language model. And this one I already explained about the architecture for customer segmentation, and also how it's actually built in the system. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now, yeah.
Thank you, Bima, Boy, Luis, and Vincent for the detailed presentation and sharing session as well. I think for the BBLV team, AI Challenge project, it's very interesting and innovative as well, from going to Rasa machine learning framework, and then also they were able to show demo sessions such as how to develop an AI assistant and using Alibaba Cloud products such as Pi, OSS, ECS, RDS, DataWorks, and also Max Compute. And also they talk about the customer segmentation model. And I think it's very, very creative as well. And once again, I'd like to congratulate all 4 of you for winning the Global AI Challenge. And for the audiences, maybe if you have any questions.
Hi, darling. Sorry, this is Jessie speaking. I have a question, maybe for Boy and for Bima. Maybe you can tell us about what is since your team, BBLV, is a champion team, so what is the prize?
Basically, what we got is 20,000 USD, which, and then also another 10,000 USD for our credit. It's including Alibaba Cloud credit, yeah, not only for, I think it's split again for 5,000 for Pi, and then 5,000 for whole product of Alibaba Cloud. So in total, we get 30,000 USD in term of number, but it's quite small compared to the experience that we got in this project. So, like we meet each other, and then we start doing the competition. Every struggle that we did, everything that we experienced is actually more expensive, yeah, rather than that price.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
To be honest, also it's my first competition, which is great. We have Vincent, we have Luis with more experience, and yeah, this is a great experience for me.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, and maybe okay, there is maybe another question for Vincent, probably, like how. And I mean, you talk about the problem, right? So how did you or maybe other team members identify this problem? And how do you verify this problem?
So actually, there are 2 ways to verify the problem and find the problem. I missed this on my presentation. It was on my script, but I forgot to deliver that. Thank you for asking, Jesse. So it was totally the part that I missed. So just that. So for us, maybe I've been working on this problem like since July. So it's not new for me in doing research and trying to talk to customers, do interview for merchant side. And second way to verify it as well, for our presentations, we try to look it up on a broader perspective, not only in a region. We try to find the data about the cause of the problem. And the first part is the primary research, where we gain our own data. The second one is the secondary research, where we try to find studies from the internet and stuff, so we can deliver and make a stronger business case out of our problem. And it sounds more convincing because, yeah.
Sure. Yes, certainly. In this COVID period, I believe it's hard maybe to go out and talk to a lot of people, like the store owners, etc. But then still you can leverage the information online and maybe your own personal experiences as well. Yeah, that's usually verify the problem is important step as well. Otherwise, think about the efforts made by the team members, Bima, Boy, Luis, right? They are the one they're gonna make the efforts to build the project. So if it's the problem is not properly verified, then there will be a waste as well.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Hi, Singi.
Hello to you, BBLV. I want to ask, those ideas was great. So, do you have a plan to continue as your business for the further startups, or it's just for the competition?
Yeah, actually, we are planning for the commercialization of the product itself. So, yeah, I think the answer is pretty straightforward, right?
Yes, yeah, that's great. I hope everything's
So it's from Pa Esra Purba. Just curious how you guys working together since you guys are not in the same company or just know each other when the competition start. And what is the big blocker for you guys as a team?
Okay, let me answer Mas Esra.
Sure.
Halo Mas Esra, apa kabar?
Hey, Mas Bim.
So yeah, so right now we are four of us is actually from different company, but to flashback, it started with when me and Luis joining one of machine learning bootcamp actually, yeah. So and then after that bootcamp, we got the information about this challenge, and yeah, I thought it's good if I join this competition. So I talked to Luis and asked him to join this competition. Okay, so yep, we decided to join, and then Luis is friend of Vincent. So Luis pull up Vincent, and at that moment I still working in one company with Boy. Okay, so I convinced Boy to join this competition as well, especially in his experience in all the Alibaba stack in this company. So yeah, that's where it started. So the big blocker is, of course, even in this whole competition we haven't met in person yet. Okay, so all of this works, we are doing it online. So we kind of like make a schedule when we are do some meet up and then work something over there, and then split some works and then put some key point for our next meeting. And yeah, that's how we get this competition done.
Maybe I can add. At the first time, I actually tried to decline Bang Bima invitation because I think my big data knowledge was not enough yet. So that I think I tried to decline, but he support me, and then I said that let's try. And and for the project, we use a timeline for any activity so that every single activities was on schedule, so that we know what's the progress. And yeah, we have a strong teamwork, and then that's it, we nail it. I think that's from me.
Okay. Cool. Thank you guys. You guys inspired us maybe to follow your steps, maybe to get MVP first, and then follow you guys to join another competition. Thank you guys.
Yes, right.
Cool.
You can just come to Boy and then just poke him.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I think it's important what Bima shared earlier. It's if you have the passion and you would like to learn, and you probably need to join more community activities, right? And then you have some kind of you have your own community, And then when there is a opportunity like a challenge or a context competition, and then you will find your right partner very soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you so much,
you.
everyone.